Have you ever struggled to express your emotions and instead suppress them, and then struggle with anxiety or feeling overwhelmed or having ruminating thoughts, or snap at your kids, or make passive aggressive comments to your partner? So this is very common. When we suppress how we truly feel, the emotion and the feelings are still going to get expressed, just not in ways that we would like. Now, just a little bit of history and a little bit of her story. I like her story better instead of his story. I like her story. Just a little bit of her story on me is that I really, really struggled with understanding my emotions, with expressing my emotions. I've had people who are in astrology look at my chart and go, "Oh, you're not very good at expressing your emotions, are you?" I'm like, yeah, no, I really have to work on that, which is why I've done years and years and years and thousands of hours in healing work to understand myself and to understand my emotions and to express them in a healthy way. Now, not everybody has to do that. That was me. I'm an Enneagram 3, so I was like all in on the healing stuff. But here's what I'll say. I want us to make sure that we understand what it is that we're feeling, because this is the most radical way for us to transform our lives. This is the most radical way for us to understand who we are, to be authentic, to trust our intuition, to trust our decisions, to have clarity, is to understand our emotions, to understand how we truly feel, and then to express those in a healthy way. Now, because I love delving into research and I love understanding, when I did my healing work, I thought this can't be the root cause of it. It can't be because of my childhood. I was told not to cry, or because of the trauma I experienced. It's not just that. There has to be something more than this. It has to be so much deeper. So I'm getting my master's in women, gender, spirituality, and social justice, and really understanding trauma and spirituality and healing modalities and religions across the world. And in these, I get to study beautiful and incredible things. So then I did past life healing, and I still do past life healing. I think it's incredible. And by the way, I'll talk about that later, how it was a part of the early Christ movement. But regardless, what is really incredible is really wanting to understand that root cause. My engineering brain was like, no, I need to understand it. I want to go deeper. I want to understand generationally how this impacted my ancestors, how this impacted the women before me. So I did a lot of research, and what I've discovered is that there's two ways. The first, of course, I already talked about the radical way to us healing these generational cycles, to us having better relationships, to being more true to ourselves, being more authentic, expressing how we truly feel is that way. But of course we have to understand that. And we have been through thousands of years of having our emotions shoved down, of pushing them down, of suppressing how we feel, of repressing how we feel, suppressing it so much that it just becomes a constant, and living in a society and in a culture where that is proliferated. Now, here's what I'll say, and what I've learned in my academic research is that in the beginning, there wasn't a difference between who we are and divinity. It was just a part of our daily lives. And once we, as around 4,500 BCE, around that time, there started to become this separation for many, many reasons. I'm not going to go into it here. And religion started to grow. There's a difference between religion and spirituality. As religion started to grow, it started to become more about, there were these beautiful rituals, and yes, they wanted to be preserved, but it also became about power. It became about control. It became about fear. And in that, we saw women be flipped upside down as the bad guy, and accused of creating original sin and all of these things. And so as we work to understand, well, how do we heal from this? I believe one of the most important ways is to express how we feel, but also to understand her story. Understand that there is a difference between his story and her story. There is a narrative that has been told for 1,000+ years, but that's not the whole story. That's like me saying that I understand your story and I'm going to write the story because it's the one story, right? It doesn't work like that. That's not the one story. There were so many stories, and there are gospels that have been hidden and have been discovered and have been translated. And it's so important for us to understand these things because it really sets us free. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this. So what I'm doing here is I'm tying emotional healing with spiritual growth, and they're really tied at the center of this divine union, because when we understand her story and when we understand our emotions, we really understand who we are, and that's the key.